right, Dad. Tell me.
What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Okay, so I wanted to talk about something that I haven't really gone into detail about at all on the channel before in the past. You know, back when Dominion was being made, we got a lot of information on that movie that wound up not being true, and we now have two different cuts of the story to choose from. But even the extended cut looks way different than some of this concept art that was produced for the movie. Now, that's kind of normal on every Jurassic Park film, but one particular image focuses on a concept that is just simply not in the film like at all. And that involves a scene that looks like it takes place in one of those holding cage places from Jurassic Park 3, with both Owen Grady and Alan Grant trying to survive an encounter with a feathered raptor. So in the final cut of Jurassic World Dominion, there does exist a scene where Grant, Grady, and Maisie kind of team up to capture Blue's offspring Beta, only that whole scenario is much more whimsical and lighthearted in comparison to what's going on here. So get this, back when Dominion was being made, I think I may have heard a rumor about Alan Grant actually showing up in Malta, of all places. Now whether or not that's true, I don't know, but whatever is going on here is totally different from what went down in the final film. Just by judging the surroundings of this place, we're looking at some kind of area where they keep dinosaurs in cages, and what looks to be the film's new Pyroraptor is what Alan Grant and Owen Grady are forced to deal with, which you should notice is totally not a species encounter that happens in Malta at all. In fact, the only raptor species that can even be compatible with this type of environment from the movie would be the Atrociraptors that showed up for the first time in that film, and they just kind of disappeared and didn't get used after that. So one of the reasons I think a scene like this would have been so interesting is the fact that it actually gives audiences a small moment to put both Alan Grant and Owen Grady alone in the same situation with, of course, a raptor. Alan being someone who definitely does not think positive things about the animals, and Owen being someone who was an animal behaviorist at Jurassic World. So seeing a new feathered species actually attack them while they kind of deal with the whole dilemma of should we or shouldn't we even consider not killing the dinosaurs? I mean, it would have made for a very interesting scene. And again, the set design here looks like it would have evoked that Jurassic Park 3 hallway scene with the cages from the third film. So look guys, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I just love the idea of getting a Jurassic Park scene or two akin to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, with Henry Jones Sr. and Jr. kind of dealing with their different techniques in velociraptor study or even survival being a fun idea, especially for a Jurassic Park film where you have so much potential to bounce ideas off of crucial cast members. I mean, think about the kind of conversations that would go down between Alan Grant and Owen Grady on just velociraptors in general, how deadly they are, how they can kill you immediately, but also how they're intelligent and able to communicate and do all of this interesting stuff. Would have made for some really fun dialogue at the very least, especially bouncing off of the more cynical and bitter Alan Grant and the more just behavior science-oriented Owen Grady. Sounds cool. Ultimately, had this remained in the movie, my best guess is it would have been some kind of survival situation that hopefully would have tried to play out like Jurassic Park 3, only with a much more bitter and cynical Alan Grant, still reeling from the PTSD sort of feeling he has towards the velociraptors in particular. And you know, that's, like I said, cut short by Owen Grady's perspective. Now look guys, I'm not gonna lie, I say that and then realize that realistically, they'd probably just make Chris Pratt hold his hand out and someone stop the dinosaur from attacking. And man, it really would have helped them if they tried to explain what's going on there to the audience, because once he starts doing it to every species under the sun, it just comes off as super ridiculous. Don't tell me you're gonna stick your hand out in front of an Allosaurus. Like, really? No. By the way, one thing to remember about this scene is the fact that it would have had the main characters, both old and new, meet back up with each other way earlier than what they do in the final versions of the film. For some reason, Grant and Owen only have like a very brief amount of screen time together in Jurassic World Dominion, and they really only meet up like towards the third act. This would have been drastically different had it been set in Malta, and I think it would have made for a way more interesting movie even if they swapped the Pyroraptor out with the Atrociraptors or something. Honestly, there's no telling how much of a different film we could have got if they just made some like very slight alterations. And what I mean by that is, I know Colin Trevorrow gets a lot of flack these days, and I even cited the writing of Jurassic World Dominion in particular to be absolutely insane in my own video material and the subject matter. But hear me out here, because I'm going to say something that I actually don't think is controversial at all, but you need to hear it. Look, if he had remained director on that project and just stepped down to give the writing duties to someone like David Koepp, or maybe even someone else that had collaborated with Steven Spielberg before in the past, I truly think that movie would have been way more popular and way more competently made as a project. I know COVID hit the film, I know they changed a lot and a lot of new writers were into it, but dude, no, there's really no excuse. Some of the things that we heard in the news media about the Giganotosaurus like being purposely made to like look like the Joker with scars on its face, that's the most weird thing I've ever heard in my life. Stuff like this Pyroraptor Jurassic Park 3 environment scene with Alan Grant and Owen Grady, it just has loads of potential, and had they not gone for the weirder stuff in that movie, again, I think Jurassic Park 6 could have been really cool. Just imagine how that scene would have gone down. Alan Grant and Owen Grady actually know each other, bump into each other during whatever Malta ended up being, and a Pyroraptor shows up on the scene. They have some sort of debate as to what to do. A similar hallway chase unfolds, just like in Jurassic Park 3, only maybe Alan Grant and Owen Grady are able to like get out of the situation by killing the raptor through some sort of interesting technique, and then going out and watching this other like deleted scene concept with a stampede of human beings where the Carnotaurus and a Sugamimus or something are running through the streets. Think of all of these insanely wild and different ideas that were abandoned in favor of the movie they made, especially in relation to Alan Grant and Owen Grady having that sort of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade dialogue together. You know, it really does make for like at least an idea of a movie that I think audiences were actually looking forward to, especially in a more grounded sense. So yeah, that's all I've really got to say, guys. We have no idea what it could have been had they actually gone for those sort of things, but this concept art alone, it just really is interesting to me to see. I mean, they've even modeled Alan Grant off of Jurassic Park 3 in the image, so yeah, there's some cool stuff here. I'm not gonna lie, I really would have liked to have seen them go down this direction. But hey, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this abandoned piece of concept art and what eventually went into the movie, whether it be how 3 characters end up catching Beta, or how the Pyroraptor scene or Atrociraptor scenes play out in Malta and the Biosyn Valley? Also, additional trivial question for you guys out there that are super fans. Do you think Biosyn Valley was originally supposed to be on Isla Sorna? There were loads of rumors about that years and years ago, and I gotta admit, I think that would have been more interesting had they streamlined the plot, and it kind of looks like that may have been the original intention. But hey, whatever your own thoughts and opinions on any of this stuff happens to be, I'd love to hear all about them in the comments down below. Now, before I go, I want to thank everyone that's helped me build my channel over the years. I'd also like to thank every one of you guys who've watched my stuff. You've all been extremely cool to me. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and hope that you'll consider subscribing. God bless you all. Christ is King. See you guys in the next video, and as always, take it easy.